So today I am taking you behind the scenes at a women's entrepreneur conference in Austin, Texas. I am excited, but I'm a little nervous. This is the first time that I'm going to an event and promoting myself rather than working at a company. My biggest worry, which I'm trying to be aware of, right, and not get there, but when you work for yourself, you almost kind of diminish your capabilities, you diminish your company rather than making it seem like this big deal that it is. Because when you work for a big company and you go to these, it's like, yeah, I work for this company and this is what we do. I would love to set up some time with you. But for myself, it's like, oh gosh, what are they gonna think? I don't know. Like all of this stuff, like imposter syndrome completely taking over. I'm gonna come back here and share some like tips or advice or like just cool things that I noticed about the experience afterwards, but I think it'll be a fun time. So let's go.
And in the year 2016, this is an interesting fun fact, is there were more CEOs who had the first name James than there were women CEOs.
The event's over. It's now 4 o'clock. I'm sitting in my car in the parking lot, but I thought it'd be really cool to share with you some of the things that I learned at this event because, you know, we're all on this journey together. And if you've been watching any of my last few videos, you know that I am in the process of starting my Treya digital marketing agency, and being around other female entrepreneurs is everything that I need. Having that community is so important. In total, I don't know, I think there were like maybe 6 or 7 female speakers. They all ranged from, you know, talking about marketing on a budget. They talked about styling, like how the clothes you wear really impacts how people perceive you. There was a therapist there. She just kind of shared how tough this road of entrepreneurship is and some of the strategies that the most successful people that she's worked with have done or seen. I hope this inspires you as well. So the first key takeaway that I thought was really important to share, one of the speakers discussed the 5 poisons of running your business, and if you don't keep these in check, these could really be detrimental for your success, your growth. But one of the quotes that she specifically said was, 2 waterfalls can't hear each other. 2 waterfalls are too busy doing their own waterfall things. They're not worried about what the other waterfall is doing. I think when you're talking about social media and posting and trying to grow your business, you're so focused on what the other person who's in your competitive landscape is doing, what kind of services, what their pricing is. Oh, they went to the speaking engagement. Oh, they had, they celebrated another month of killing it. All of these things can really mess with your psyche and make you think that you are not doing what you're supposed to be doing because this person's over here being super successful and they're in the same industry as you. And I do suffer from that a lot. Imposter syndrome is very real. It's such a struggle sometimes to keep that in check. But I like the quote, 2 waterfalls can't hear each other. I don't know, I haven't heard it like that before. So I think that really resonated with me. All you really need to know to be successful for the most part is know how to manage people and manage money. And if you can manage those 2 things, everything else can be learned within 90 days. What that means is that those are the 2 foundational things. If you can really know how to manage your money so that you can not only like save and budget, but also expand and invest, and also manage people, hiring the right people, talking to people, motivating people from the sales landscape and also from the HR side of things. Like that is gold. And everything else you can either hire for or you can learn how to do yourself within like a certain time span, whatever you set as the goal. So that's kind of cool because I think as a business owner, we are so focused on the million things that we have to learn and be experts in, when really that's not the case. And we're so focused on getting our website right or getting our social media marketing done that we're not focusing on the most important thing, and that's using our money effectively and working and surrounding ourselves with the right people. The other thing that I found interesting, and this came specifically from the Stylist, which was kind of cool, but she was talking all about how to find your personal style, how to have a capsule wardrobe, but specifically how to stand out Clothing is a perception of who we are, and people will have an impression about us within the first like 10 seconds of meeting us. So we need to be wearing clothing and looking a certain way, however we want to be perceived. If you could find something. So she used examples like she has clients who, were really into like vintage jewelry, and then that was a talking piece when she would go to networking events. Or another client had like Indian jewelry from a family heirloom, and she would wear that just to get the conversation started with people, and it makes you stand out in a different way. If you're authentic to who you are, you're going to attract like-minded people who are also drawn to you. And those are the type of people that you want to work with, the people that want to work with who you are as a real person, not some fake cookie cutter version of you who you think is professional. They want to work with the real human, because how you make them feel and the energy that you exude, that's all really important. When military people go from normal clothes to go into their like suits, they call it command presence. And she was like, yes, that is exactly what we need to call it, command presence, because whatever suit you're putting on every single day to go to work, that's something that needs to command presence. And we're so used to, I know I am, being in a remote environment, always wearing leggings everywhere I go. I stopped putting on makeup. I stopped dressing up. And at some point down the line, it just blurred into like, this is who I am. And my mental health suffered. So I don't know. I kind of want to find something that's gonna help me stand out. So I don't know about vintage jewelry, but she used a really easy example of wearing glasses, which I wear glasses and I have contacts actually. It's something that's gonna grab attention, right? Like a cute pair of glasses with like a thicker rim or a colored rim, or like, I don't know, something that looks really cool and makes you look kind of smart and professional and all the things. So maybe that's something I'll do. She also said pins. If you could find really cool brooches and pins and necklaces, things like that, that can really stand out. Or you can choose like shoes and handbags. But that was a really cool, piece of advice. There was a social media coach, a strategist, that spoke. She works with a lot of business coaches, and the biggest issue that she's seen is this fear of showing up online, right? I think we've all had it where we don't want to post. We either think it's taking too much time, it's too stressful, it's confusing, or we just don't want to get hate comments or be canceled or whatever. We just have so many preconceived notions about social media, and her whole thing was just how to make it easy. The psychology behind your social media is all about you. No one can say things the way you can. No one has the knowledge that you have, no matter what education level you have or anything. So how can you really lean into that and stop overcomplicating social media and just showing up authentically with this idea that like how I can help that person, and just telling stories and telling your advice. And if you don't enjoy what you're putting out there, don't post that day, because you're not gonna get that same feeling from people. You want to have every post be something that resonates seriously with people. And that only comes from being really passionate and like invested in the message that you have to say. And that comes from being you and sharing why you got into the business, what are the struggles that you had, or things like that. So I thought that was a really cool perspective. She also said to not focus so heavily on social media engagement, comments, likes, shares, views, all of that, because she said, ironically for her, her highest paying clients, and most of the clients that pay her really well, where she had to do very little sales to get them, came from people who weren't following her, who weren't commenting, who weren't liking anything. Like, these people were not engaging with her online at all, but they still saw that content, and they reached out to her and spent like thousands, and like they're not even engaging on social media. So don't use that as a metric, but rather look at social media as a place to say your message, because if someone's gonna debate whether they're gonna work with you, chances are they're gonna go there anyway and see what you've got to say, and hopefully if they resonate with you, they'll work with you. But the people that are spending the most money, especially if you're in an environment where you're working with like executive coaches, or in a professional setting with very professional and successful people that are C-suite executives, these people don't have time to sit there and comment on everybody's posts. All of her action happens in her DMs, and she's not worried about what she looks like to people online. So I don't know, I need to take that advice too, because we don't know the full story. When we look at an account, they may have like 1,000, maybe even less. They may have 300 followers, but we don't know how much money that's actually generating for them. And I think that's really important to note. Let's not judge others, but also let's not focus so heavily ourselves and judge ourselves. The last woman was the therapist, and oh my God, I could just listen to her talk all day. But she had like 5 specific strategies that her clients in therapy use. She noticed that she works with a lot of entrepreneurs and business owners. They all kind of have very similar struggles and pain points, and they talk about it in therapy. She had 5 specific things I do want to share, although like obviously her message, the way she said it, was way better than I could ever deliver this. I'm just gonna rattle these off for us here. Number 1 was know how to tune into your gut, listen to your heart, listen to your gut, and tune the rest of the world out. I think that kind of goes with that same message from the beginning. 2 waterfalls can't hear each other. Like, focus on yourself, focus on what you've got going on, not what everybody else has going on. Number 2, make sure you know the difference between running away from something and running towards something. And I think a lot of times our fear stops us and we run away from it, when in reality that fear is just something we need to run towards. She used this analogy of kids playing dodgeball, and if there's a kid who runs away from the ball and they're running all the way to the back, they realize at some point that they got out of the game, because now they're so far away, the guy doesn't even, like, they can't even get to them. So the kid has to come back to the game. They have to come back towards the shooter. I don't know what they're called, the main guy throwing the ball. But he has to come towards him in order to stay in the game and have fun, because there's no fun out there. So kind of know the difference between running away from your fears and running towards something that drives you, that excites you, that may make you nervous, because it's okay to be nervous, because this is something you care about and you're passionate about. And isn't it better to be passionate about something and have a little fear attached than be super stable in a 9-to-5 that you completely hate and you just feel like you're wasting your life away? I don't know. I personally would take the fear, as long as you're still able to survive, right? Number 3, realize that not everyone is going to stay with you on this journey. Know who your people are, and the people that are probably supporting you that first month when you announce that you're going into business, they will probably be the same ones that after 6 months or a year, or when you're hitting your lowest of lows, they're not going to be the ones that you want to lean on. They're not going to be the ones that push you to keep going in your darkest times. She talked about the valley of despair. There's a period of time where we start the business and we're really excited, and then we get into that valley of despair where we just regret it, kind of, and we're like, oh my God, that 9-to-5 is not looking too bad at this point. What if I go back to work? You kind of start envisioning what that other side of the pond looks like. And the grass is not always greener, right? We all know that. Knowing that the people that are around you that push you to be better are the ones that matter. And it's really hard to push yourself and grow when you're in that valley of despair if you have the wrong people around you. And it's okay, like, grieve through that disappearance of that person and know that those just aren't your people. You may go to them for certain things, but you may not stay with them long term when you're going through your entire transition as a business owner. Number 4 in her strategy was about always being a lifelong learner, like always making sure that you as a business owner are learning all the things that you can. Because if, for example, she was a therapist, right? So she knows a lot about therapy and psychology, but when she had to start stressing out about sales and lead generation and marketing strategies and like billing and finance and accounting, like all of that got so overwhelming. But you always need to embrace that unknown, and always lean into learning as much as you can, and just always pursue lifelong learning as a business owner. And that's just kind of the way it needs to be. And then the last part of this was find your tribe, which I need to get better at. If you find your tribe and it's the right tribe, they're gonna be able to push you through that valley of despair. Like, she really accredited her tribe in helping her move on from the death of her best friend. In most situations, like if you're doing speaking engagements. Like, she struggled with trying to memorize her speeches and get up there and talk to people as she was going through this grief. And her friends, like her tribe of other business owners who are in the same shoes as her, were the ones that kind of pushed her and said, you deserve this, you have something important to say. And they made sure that she applied to do the speaking engagement. Also another example that she had was like, she's a psychologist, doesn't know anything about tech, but she's speaking at South by Southwest, which, you know, she by herself probably wouldn't have done that, but her tribe is who encouraged her and said, your message is something that everyone needs to hear, and you need to go for it. And so, yeah, she accredits all of that to just her tribe, having the right people by her side. So I need to get better at that. I think that's kind of the point of going to a lot of these business networking events, trying to dip my toes in, talk to people, not only to learn how to talk about my business, you know, and how to fine tune my pitch to people, and also hear what the needs are of other business owners so I can get a sense of how to tailor my products, my messaging, but also just to form a community. If I can make at least one friend that, you know, maybe I grab coffee with on occasion, like quarterly or whatever, and we talk about our issues, our struggles, I think that's a win. Not every networking event has to have a paid client that you get money from, because I think if we focus on that, we do become a little bit desperate. One of the pieces of advice actually at this event, she said, go into networking with an intention, not an expectation. Because if you go in with an expectation, you're going to basically come off a little desperate, and people may not want to be around you, and you may be disappointed too. If you go into it with intention, like I have the intention of connecting with someone who can connect me with someone else or whatever, like building a partnership or something, it's a little bit more doable, and it doesn't put so much pressure on yourself and stuff like that. So I'm gonna take all of this advice. I really do hope that you take this too. If you're in the Austin area and you're ever interested in networking, grabbing coffee, talking about our struggles and our issues and all of that fun stuff, please let me know. I'd love to meet with you and connect, just to, you know, build a community of other business owners here. This one was a little small. I mean, it was large enough. It was a couple hundred people, but it was really heavy focused on the speakers and not enough on the networking side of things. So I'm hoping to get a little bit more involved in like the networking side, where, you know, maybe there's like speed dating, or there's workshops where you're getting to meet and talk and collaborate together. I think that would be really fun. So anyway, that was my first business conference as an entrepreneur, running my own digital marketing agency. I've been to a ton of these, but they were for a corporation, like a big business, not for myself. So I hope to have many, many more of these. Guys, I will see you in the next video. Comment down below your favorite tip that I shared with you, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye for now.